Everybody loves a little sparkle now and then. And boy, you can get that look with diamond art kits from Leisure Art and from Rinea foiled paper. I decided to take the two, combine them to make this Dahlia clock. So the center is a diamond art kit by Leisure Arts, and if you haven't tried one of those, let me tell you, they are addictive. Basically, it's a pre-printed canvas with some adhesive on top, and you place these little tiny faceted gems, just like paint by numbers, except instead, this is what you end up with. And each one of those gems has 13 facets on it. So hopefully, maybe if I move it just a hair, you'll get a little bit of a sparkle. Who knows, right? So that's the center of this. Normally that's on a 12 by 12 sheet, but here we cut it out, mounted it, and then added Rinea foiled paper, which, like any foiled paper, is flat. Think of it like a sheet of aluminum foil, but it's brightly colored. Well, I figured out how I could shape them to give us the shape of these dahlia leaves. So we took a flat, sparkly dahlia, flat foiled paper, and turned it into this 3D clock. I'm going to show you a little bit about behind the scenes, what went into that, and the blog post has all the step-by-step instructions. I even have an unboxing video. If you've never done a diamond art kit, check out that video and you can see just what it's like. I'm Joe Rotella, this is CreateNCraft. Let's check out behind the scenes and get crafting. Turning a piece of diamond art into a clock was really simple and fun. I want to give you a rough idea of how this came together. It starts with the diamond art kit from Leisure Arts. In this case, it's the Dahlia. And when I saw that Dahlia shape, I thought, oh, that's a nice big round shape. A clock's going to work perfectly. So you're going to want to follow the instructions on the kit and create the Dahlia by placing the diamond gems one by one by one. The sparkle is amazing. You know, each one of those gems has 13 facets. So you're going to place them on that pre-printed cloth that has an adhesive on it, one by one. When you're done, you'll have your Dahlia on that piece of cloth. Then you just want to take a pair of scissors and cut it out. And this is what you're going to be left with. Now, this is a little bit too flimsy to make a clock out of, so we need to give it some substance. We also need to have a space where we're going to put the hands or the mechanism for the clock. So I left some of the rhinestones out where the middle section is. Now I've got this ready to go. I'm going to cut a hole where the clock face goes. That's easy. Next, to give it some substance, I want to put it on chipboard or a piece of wood. So just trace it with a fine line marker on a piece of paper. That's what we did here. So this is all good to go. If I could get it lined up, you'd see how well this just fits that perfect. I'm too taken aback by the sparkles to see how it lines up. So there you go. It's just traced out. Once you have it traced out, cut this out of chipboard using an electronic cutting machine like the Brother ScanNCut DX, or out of a piece of wood. I used 1/8 inch Baltic Birch, about 3 millimeters thick, with my Proxxon Scroll Saw. If you're going to do it on a piece of chipboard, I would probably cut the same piece of chipboard 2, 3 times, maybe even 4, depending on how thick it is, and just glue them together so that by the time you stack those layers, you have something pretty substantial. Then take your Dahlia and adhere it to that base. You know what we would call, in art terms, they call it the substrate. To me, it's the thing you glue the thing on. How's that? What you work on. You're going to glue it onto the substrate. And I used Mod Podge Ultra. This is a fantastic spray adhesive as well as a top coat. So make sure you protect your work surface, put some newspaper down, follow the instructions here. You got to shake it well, get the pump started, then spray. Then you're going to put your Dahlia on. Now you've got the Dahlia on a pretty firm surface. Then you can take your drill and drill a hole for the clock mechanism. And plaid has these wonderful clock mechanisms. This one's great because it has short hands, and the hands are silver, which I think is going to go great with the blue. Now, if you want to be fussy, I would paint the edge of your chipboard or your wood to hide that raw wood, and color shift by plaid is the way to go there. They have a nice blue, and as the light hits it, it actually shifts and changes color. So we're going to have a nice blue around the edge. We've got this then spray mounted onto this. We've drilled a hole for the clock mechanism. You know, you could say that that's good to go and just have the flower on your wall, but I wanted some leaves. And that's where Rinea's foiled paper comes into play. If you've never worked with this paper, it is spectacular. Think of it like aluminum foil, but in every color you could imagine, and from solid colors to beautiful patterns. But a piece of foil is kind of flimsy to put behind this to make a leaf. So how do we give it some substance? This is what I did. I took a piece of felt, soft, squishy felt, and then I put on some double-sided adhesive paper, like score tape. So you're going to cover the bigger sheet of felt. I'm just trying to give you an idea of how this works, right? So then you cover that, right? Peel one layer off. Now you have a piece of adhesive stuck onto felt. This still has the carrier sheet on top. Then peel that off and stick on your foiled paper. So now you have a sheet that's foil paper, double-sided adhesive, and then felt, like a little sandwich, right? Now we can put that on our electronic cutting machine and cut out leaves. And don't worry about a pattern. There's one downloadable right in my blog post. And these really are the shape of dahlia leaves because I'm fussy, right? It would look terrible to have a sunflower leaf with a dahlia. Who's going to do that? So now we have felt-lined foiled paper, but that's still not very stiff. Well, that's where Mod Podge Stiffy comes into play. So I've got a leaf here that's actually drying. Let me take it off. What you're going to want to do is build an armature. That's a technical term for the thing that supports something. In this case, it's aluminum foil covered with kitchen wrap, clear wrap. You do that because the foil adds some body, and the clear wrap, well, it's not going to stick to the stiffy. Then you're going to go to the back side of the felt, and literally, we kind of poured drops of this in and pressed it in with your finger. Try not to get it on the front of your foil because it might leave kind of a little milky color when it dries. It dries clear, but on the foil, you might see it. So just be careful, press it in there, really saturate that felt. Then take your piece, bend it to the shape you want. And in this case, I put it on the foil, and you can see I used some rubber bands to hold it in place. Let it dry. It's going to take overnight for sure, but the end result is a stiff leaf. It has a little bit of play, but not much. So you're going to make a whole bunch of these leaves in different sizes, slightly different shapes, but trust me, they're all dahlia leaves. And then we're going to glue them on the back all the way around the flower. Then insert your clock mechanism. You can use a hanger on the back, or the clock mechanism has a little hanger built right in, and you're good to go. And now you've transformed a flat flower, granted beautifully sparkly, into a 3D piece of wall art that's functional as a clock with all the little leaves however you want all the way around. So that's how we started with a diamond art dahlia, added some beautiful Rinea foiled paper, used Mod Podge Stiffy to give us some stiffness, blue color shift to cover up that edge, a little Mod Podge Ultra to adhere it together, aluminum foil, a plaid clock mechanism, and Proxxon tool to cut out the backing, or a few layers of chipboard on your Brother ScanNCut. You've got a clock. I'm Joe Rotella. Check out my YouTube channel, subscribe for more videos, and get out there and start making.